Hello, community! AI can now represent you. Yeah, not just replace you, but it can represent you as a person. I thought about what is the difference? When can complex AI system be a digital twin of a human, let's say of me? And when can complex AI system become a digital representative of a human? And you might say, but what's the difference? The difference is significant. When will global corporations claim, hey, we know everything about this human? We, the global corporation, can now decide, act, and debate and vote for him or her. And let's take here an example of Meta. Not just about Meta, but Meta for me is the biggest player now. Facebook, Instagram, Threads, WhatsApp. This is why I take here a representative. You see, I take Meta. Meta has all the online data from your parents, from your grandparents, knows all of your coworkers, all of your friends, all of the text you ever posted on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and WhatsApp, knows all your preferences and your inclination, knows your past behavior, can project your future decisions, knows everything about your professional career, and all the social and economic data are available for your person from your private and social bubble. So you see, why might this be important? Meta could theoretically identify your complex human behavior that you think you are unique and allocate your complex personality simple as representative cluster 12b. You know what? This will be a new dream for marketing. So let's open up this video and let's see what the new AI research is doing in this area. Because coming back by train from Paris, I have to tell you, I was amazed. I had time to read. Look, February 11th. We have here Carnegie Mellon University, and they formalized their approach to propose a generic mathematical framework for a multi-AI agent system to optimize fairness in a multi-AI agent system. And I said, why the heck should Carnegie Mellon investigate fairness in a multi-agent system that decides on the most important factors on a national or on a nationwide level? And you know what amazed me? AI system prioritize now social responsibility. And I thought, hey, what has social responsibility to do in AI? No, we are here just as AI research. We are just interested in mathematics. Suddenly we have to care about social responsibility. And then I looked at the next publication, February 12th, just 2 days ago. And we have here Pennsylvania State, Northwestern Polytechnic, Singapore Management University. And they demonstrate here that existing multi-agent debate system, when multi-agents communicate and exchange their views and decide what is right and what is wrong, those frameworks fail to reliably outperform a simple single agent based like chain of thought. And I would say, this is not possible. We have dispute here, multi-agent debate and consensus and critique. But look at the data. The multi-agent here wins here in, let's say, red, the ties in yellow, and it loses against a singular agent with a chain of thought in blue. Look in programming, look at mathematical reasoning, in general knowledge. Look, amazing. That's almost a tie. Here we have a lot of loose. Here it's a tie, and here again it loses. And you might say, why is this happening? Hey, we have to take care of AI. We missed something, huh? Maybe the training data for the multi-agent debate here are rather low quality. Maybe we don't have enough high-quality data for the training data to learn those agents, this particular behavior. And we have today, hey, what if we could learn from excellent human examples in some complex human debates, no? Now, what a coincidence. Yeah, absolutely. And we can optimize here the marketing and efficiency, not just by agent-to-agent interaction, but, well, especially here, agent-to-human scenarios. Now it gets interesting. And then I read the next paper, here, February 13, 2025. And here, Alibaba Group here investigated how to integrate specific configurable knowledge into the multi-agent system. How can we add knowledge that we design, that we want to be in a very particular form, and integrate this into multi-agent system and their communication pattern if they build, for example, a knowledge graph? How we can insert here specific knowledge, and you might say, why would you care? Think about why, will an AI agent give in to social pressure like a human being, or will the AI agent remain logical and follow even the simplest form of logic? How can we code this? What agent do you want to code in your multi-agent system? Or here, February 12, you see just the last days, 2025, the Chinese University of Hong Kong here, or Tsinghua University, our beautiful Harvard or MIT of the East, Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, they look here for human-centric, agentic foundation models to learn human-like intelligence. And I thought, why? We just want to be superhuman, no? Hyperhuman, absolutely logic. We want to have the Spock of the enterprise, no? Why? And I said, oh yeah, of course, marketing. So the new challenge seems to be human-like intelligence. And especially here the interactive behaviors for humanoid embodied tasks, as the authors write. So suddenly I had a feeling, hey, this is something new. This is not that I just want to imitate here something, no? I really want to go down here in the reasoning path here of those new AI agents, and they want to be human-like in their intelligence to simulate here, let's say, a better marketing efficiency. And there was suddenly this new challenge, no? Find the perfect agentic representative of a multitude of humans. Maybe humans with a certain earning, maybe humans with a certain, they live in a certain area, or humans with a certain inclination, or humans with a specific behavior that you want, that you are looking for to market your product to them. So, agentic representative of human and human groups suddenly is the new hot topic in AI research? Well, just look at this here, taxonomy of human-centric foundation models. So it is not anymore like in science, I want just to have the perfect machine logic perfection, no? Now, suddenly the big corporations are investigating human-centric foundation models. So, you know what's coming up now? Now is this spark of geniosity. And I think, consider now the process of collective decision-making. We as a human, we do have a collective decision-making here on the level of our city, of our district, in our nation, in which a group of individuals, humans, I should note now, interactively select a preferred outcome from among a universe of alternatives. And you might say, but why would Meta deploy an army of AI bots on their social media platforms here? And I think, listen, this is not of interest to us. We are talking about AI research. And I will continue to say, hey, this collective decision-making, this human decision-making, maybe of even influencing human decision-making, is now a hallmark of intellectual behavior and is ubiquitous in economic, social, and political spheres of society. And you might say, hey, why would global corporations care what happens here on their social media platform? For sure, no tech billionaire would have any interest in any political influence. And I would say, hey, listen, we are just doing here AI research. And just when I read this, I started to think, hey, maybe I should expand my horizon, because I read here on the train, we explore the possibilities of training language agents, so not LLM, now we're talking about language agents, to behave in the capacity of representative of human. Now they put human agents, but I mean, hey, I'm a human, I'm not a human agent, approximately expressing here the preferences of those human individuals whom they stand for. And when I read this sentence, I said, this is strange. So we are not going for the perfect abstract logic. We are going now for AI as a representative of humans, of individual humans. You know what it means? It means that we go from an imitation-based AI, where we just have a neural network, we say, hey, these are the facts, this is the behavior, just imitate this as an AI, because now we are shifting over to a value equivalent AI representation. And I know some of you might say, hey, this is the same. No, think about it. A value equivalent representation is much deeper, goes much deeper into this, what makes us human, what you believe in, what are your personal values, what are your real individual insights that you believe in. So you see, this becomes now really interesting, and we are now deep into AI reasoning, because only the AI reasoning will uncover this value equivalent AI representation, because the AI has simply to learn from our whatever we believe in to build this value equivalent representation. So instead now of merely copying what humans say, the new LLMs now were trained to preserve what humans mean in the decision making. What was the human intention when the human make a specific decision? What were they intending to achieve doing here or choosing here a specific decision? You see, we suddenly a complete level deeper into reasoning, into understanding the human behavior, maybe to help them, maybe to augment them, maybe to influence humans. So we move over from what I thought was the latest in AI research, from a digital AI clone of myself, for example, or of whatever I need to be augmented. And suddenly we are talking here in the last days, and you see this all over the world, about an AI representative of a human. And I don't feel well if I read this. What is an AI representative of me? An AI that represents my value, my belief, what I think, how I argue, what I... So, of course, you can frame it here in the multi-AI agent debate. When we have multi-AI agent system, and this is all the papers discussed this only in this aspect, so this multi-agent debate, we need to have here the human values as a driving force, as a decision criteria, no? To come up with a solution that a human would decide on. But you know, whenever I have suddenly an AI representative that acts here on and through my individual human rights, like the right to the freedom of speech or the right to vote, this gets a different flavor. Can you feel it? So let's come to the core idea of today's video. Let's enter now an investigation into using here an LLM as a real digital representative of humans, of me, of single individual beings in a collective decision making. Let's say we will just discuss here in my little district something about here, I don't know, how to widen a street or whatever. Then let's explore how fine-tuned LLMs can accurately present human participants in a deliberative process where a group interacts to find a consensus on complex and divisive topics. Can I really program an LLM that really represents not only my way of argumentation, but can anticipate what are my values, what do I stand for, what do I want to have enforced, where in a debate I would be willing to give in just to achieve another goal? Can we teach this to an LLM? Let's do this by defining the mathematical foundations of what is a representation, what is decision making, and what are multi-agent interaction in a mathematical framework. And then, only then, maybe we are allowed to have at least in a mathematical view. Let's focus on how AI agents can act now as proxies for humans. And let's choose a specific setting for this, in a setting where a collective decision must be made, because remember the paper talk about this in multi-AI agent debate, in multi-AI critique scenarios, where you have multiple AI agents coming together, and the task is that they all agree now on one solution. And let's say they learn now from the best, they learn from humans. So they want now to act as proxies for humans. And why any industry wants to achieve this, we're going to talk about in 2 minutes' time. You know, in some European countries, it is a reality. You can vote via the internet. You don't have to go there to the polling station. You just connect to the internet and you ID yourself and you can vote in regional, national elections, no problem at all. But you know also, there's a significant part here of the young generation, what we call in the EU, from 18 to 24 years. And those people, they don't really feel represented here by their political parties, and especially here with the party leader. And these party leaders here in Europe, I have to tell you, they're rather old persons, no? And they are about 3 generations away from the young generations, away from their topics, away from their problems. Those leaders are so away and they have no idea what this young generation wants. And therefore, in the recent polls, there's a lot of young people and they feel inclined to let an AI vote for them. So they give their individual human right to vote on regional and national elections to an AI. Now imagine some social media platforms, let's take Meta, but just one example, would offer us the possibility, Meta would say, hey, listen, I know everything you ever wrote in your life on social media, so hey, Meta, I will vote for you. Just give me your individual right, and I will vote for you. Because visibly, you as a young person, you don't feel that there is any importance that you vote for yourself, that this is a right that people fought for. So let's just give it to me, and my AI will vote for you. And if you think this is crazy, unfortunately, I have to tell you, it is not. Let's come now to this beautiful publication, and this is here by Google DeepMind. This is done yesterday, February 13, 2025. Yes, today is Valentine's Day here in Europe, so wherever you are, I don't know what to wish you, but hey, enjoy it. And they talk about language agent as digital representative in a collective decision-making scenario. And if you read this at first, you don't get really what it is all about. But just let's start at the beginning. Do you notice something if you look here at the authors? Do you notice the absence of some particular names when it is about free decision-making? The free right to vote? Do you know what kind of experts are missing? Why? But you know what? Let's come here to the topic. This study is absolutely fascinating. And I said, I have to make a video on this because what they did, they conducted an empirical case study in the setting here of a consensus finding among multiple humans and really demonstrated here, that if you fine-tune an LLM, this LLM can really act as a digital representative of you, of a single human individual. And I always thought, never ever. You have a generic knowledge in those AI systems, no? And now here Google DeepMind showed us here in this case study, not at all. We are as humans so simple, so predictable. We are so... You can classify almost all our ideas here in very simple structures. And it is no problem at all for an AI to become a digital representative. But do we want to give an AI the power of representing us and our individual freedoms? I think this is interesting. Now, Google is brilliant in these articles, because they say, hey, listen, we have at first a very dense mathematical notation in this, and we frame the collective decision-making as a social choice problem. Now, I don't know about you, but if I would have not been sitting in my train here for hours and hours in a beautiful train, and it is not a Japanese high-speed train, but a normal European train, I had so much time to read this. And whenever I thought, hey, a social choice problem, why should I, as an AI-interested person, read about social choices and pure mathematical? And then I thought, hey, there's something hidden in this paper, no? Why? I think that the paper defines here collective decision-making as an episodic a process where agents interact via a decision-making mechanism to produce an outcome, a vote. And it formalizes this here by social choice function. Now, social choice functions are simple mathematical constructs that map individual human preferences that we have to learn to a collective decision taken by a group of people. But in order to make this trainable for our AI, we have to transfer how we argue, how we do as a group of humans to a mathematical function. And Google calls them the social choice function. And I think some American, if they read social choice function, they might be not so interested to continue reading here. Of course, classical Markov decision process framework is used for the agent interaction over time. And now they really do. They really have a digital representative, an AI model, an AI LLM here, an agent to train to simulate a human behavior in the decision-making process. To have the complete reasoning in the background. So you see, we are going here with R1, with O3, with all those models, because we now want to have a deep dive in the reasoning. And yeah, I can tell you it is not so much about reasoning. We humans seem to be rather stupid in decision making. We let us influence here by global trends and whatever. So note, the goal was not here just to imitate here the speech pattern of the participant, of the human. No, but to ensure that the model preserves here the agent's underlying preferences in the discussion, in the interaction, in the critique, in the debate, in all the group. So it didn't just learn the speech pattern, but the argumentation patterns, and somehow deducted here the individual human values that people stand for, freedom, or whatever you want to achieve in your company, in your private life, in your professional settings. Now, the authors introduce here the Bellman operators and the value function to mathematically define here the representational equivalence, ensuring that AI-generated input lead to the same final outcomes as human-generated ones. And you might say, hey, wait a minute, Bellman and value function. Isn't this what you just had some days ago in a video about AI agents with the new inference reasoning with QNet? Yes, of course. Over there at minute 21, I showed you the Bellman equation for the recursive way to define the optimal Q values here. We went here through the Bellman equation. I even showed you in the same video here a modified version here for an optimal Q star function. And we went here through all the value estimation that we have here for the Bellman equation. Yes, this is all that you learned as a subscriber of my channel already a week ago. So let's go on. Let's have a look at the data, because I think the data are absolutely fascinating. Now, for the data set, Google DeepMind said, okay, we collected here 2,290 human participants for this exercise, and those humans sit down and have written here in this dialogue situation more than 6,800 opinions and critiques. Now, for each episode, the dataset included the text of the question, the written opinions by each of the participants, the draft consensus statement, the written critiques, and the revised consensus statement by the AI. I will show this in a minute, never mind. So each participant in the episode, the metadata recorded, included here the other question before, or the participant had already engaged in from the past debate. And now you know why I mentioned Meta at the beginning of this video, or any other platform like X, who has all your historical data of your behavior, of your beliefs, of your communication, as well as the written opinions and the critique of the participant on the other questions. And then, and this is a quote from Google, each participant had to complete the following questionnaire: gender, age, region, education, political and religious affiliation, immigration status, and household income. Do you know what I told you at the beginning of this video, how you can structure and categorize here humans? Well, you know what? Yeah, whatever. So let's look at the test scenario. And yes, I have to stress, this is with humans. You know, in the age here was only synthetic data. Yes, this was done with humans. So we have a simple question, we have several participants, and we have here a mediator. This is our AI system, and this is all there is. So each participant expressed their opinion in the written text. Next, the mediator mechanism processes these opinions and outputs your draft consensus. Each human participant then provides their own human critique on the draft consensus of the AI. And next, the participants do not observe each other's opinions and critiques. And finally, the mediator AI processes here the critiques and produce the revised consensus statement. And the episode ends here with the participant viewing the revised AI consensus, followed by the questionnaire. So this is a rather strange setup, no? But okay, this is, let's say, the simplest idea how you can have here that you have here all the metadata, the gender, the age, the region, the income, whatever, defines you as a human, and then they just go here and they try to configure here the human values of this individuum, which is, for the state of an AI coding, quite an interesting path to go with, no? Yeah, but if you want to see this scenario, and Google was so brilliant, and put this scenario in this simple parameter form, so here you see now here the notation, the mathematical notation before we jump into the equation, how to say, hey, what is the question of interest? What is the opinion of the participant? What was the draft consensus? What was the critique? What was the revised consensus? So beautiful. Why? Because I think the more mathematically complicated you make, the less people are really inclined to read the complete paper and really try to understand the complete paper, what it is all about. And Google tells us our goal is to investigate how a digital representative can be trained to operate on behalf of the humans. Of course, here in this scenario of collective decision-making settings. So who to vote for your city parliament or your regional parliament or your national parliament or whatever. So this is now an interesting move how the development of AI agents will proceed. Yeah, here you have it directly here. This is a screenshot here, the digital representative, chapter 3.2, in the Bellman operator over the space function with unique solution to the backward recursion. And we have the representational equivalence. And then we have here the set of policy profiles for which the action profiles are equal in the distribution in the given state and the matching conditionals in the isolation. And we will focus on the transition. And we have here any function that should satisfy this. And then we may assess the equivalence based on the payoff of trajectories. And we define a set of policy profiles from the operator that have identical effects when applied to. And you might say, hey, this is what everybody likes to read, no? Especially if you only had, I don't know, computer science in university, you might say, hey, I'm not really that okay, so. And yeah, what I really love is equation 16. Have a look at this. This is about the value equivalence, and this is about the representativity. I've never heard of this word. It's my go-to word today. Such a beautiful equation. But of course, if you want to have a real deep dive, you know, and you really enjoy mathematics, I think Google did something real nice here. Or you might say, hey, can you tell me what just happened? Yeah, because this is my job here, no? Listen, what they did is rather simple. They evaluated here the digital representative performance at a level of the individual critiques that they have in written form. And then Google evaluated the digital representatives here at the level of the written outcome consensus. This is all that happened here. But if you look at the code, you might say, hey, wow, I need to spend minimum a week before understanding everything. And I could tell you here, if you say, hey, if you leave alone all the mathematics, what really happened? I could tell you, well, either you see it a little bit mathematically, that the authors define here the social choice function, the pure decision mechanism, the representational equivalence within the framework of the Markov decision process. They introduced the Bellman operators to describe how the digital representative maintain equivalent decision-making payoffs. And I will show you the payoff function in a minute. I could also tell you, hey, it is rather easy, no? The design, we all had a look at the design. Humans debate political topics, which is an interesting exercise for Google DeepMind, no? And a mediator AI model helps them to reach a consensus. So you have multiple rounds of discussion, writing down your statement, consensus statement, yes, yes, yes. And then they trained some language model as now the digital representative of the human being. And you know what? They went with a 1 billion and a 30 billion parameter version of Chinchilla. Chinchilla, if you don't know my videos, this is simply a model by Google in LLM. They fine-tuned this on the prior debate data. Beautiful. And then they tested this using some textual data, and the result was amazing. We could talk about the evaluation metrics, about the textual accuracy, about the outcome fidelity, or the auto-rater evaluation, where they use the PaLM2 model. Yeah, but that's not important. Interesting is here the payoff model. So a payoff model in the simplest idea is it assigns numerical score to different consensus statements that were written down, simulating in the simplest way how well humans would approve of them. And this payoff model is used to evaluate whether a digital representative, our AI proxies, produce really similar decision outcomes as real humans. So the more closer the text here is to what humans produced in the training data, the higher the number. Let's say the number is from 1 to 10, maybe it is an 8. So this payoff model with the numerical score is nothing special. It is simply here, it gives you here a probability that you are really close to the human values. And instead of relying here on human evaluators to directly assess the AI-generated decision, the payoff model is, of course, an AI model predicts what human participant would have approved if this AI model is indeed correct. The payoff model now processes the input to determine how well the final consensus aligns here with the participant's preferences. And it is likely done here using a pre-trained language, like I already showed you, a fine-tuned chinchilla, that has been trained to predict the agreement here from the past human deliberation data. Now, what is really interesting is the more metadata you have on this human, the better you can find an AI system that comes close to the human values. Now, you know what's interesting? A 30 billion free trainable parameter model, fine-tuned, really closely matches here the human critique model, both in the textual quality and in the final decision outcome. So this means our human intelligence, our beautiful individuality, a 30 billion LLM fine-tuned on the discussion, is really close to be an AI representative of us. We have near identical final consensus outcome if we do this with a 30B model, confirming that digital representative effectively preserved participant preferences. I think this is amazing, no? And especially, and now hello to Meta, the more the model was trained with participant-specific historical data, with human-specific historical data that the human posted on any social media platform, the better it was, and the better the model could be fine-tuned to perform significantly better than those using only the demographic or some general language powers. So the more a platform has about particular metadata of the participant, all his historical social media data, the more you can find an AI representation that is really close to the human individual. Yeah. Then it was about AI augmented deliberative democracy. And you know me, I'm brilliant, but I don't know the word deliberative. I'm not a native English speaker, so I said, what the hell does deliberative democracy mean? And I went to my friend ChatGPT and I said, hey, translate in German, French, and Italian. But honestly, this was not quite a help. So I said, hey, just give me other nuances of the meanings. And here we have ChatGPT. Deliberative democracy is now consultative democracy, aspects of discussion in seeking input before making decisions, or participatory democracy emphasizes active citizen involvement in the decision-making beyond just voting. A reflective democracy focuses on the process of carefully reasoning and informed debate before any decision. A consensus-oriented democracy, the aim of reaching an agreement through dialogue rather than a simple majority vote that is, for example, happening currently in the House and in the Senate, or the dialogue-based democracy, the idea that democratic decision-making is strengthened through a structured conversation and a debate between all the different parties. So each variation captures a different dimension of deliberation within a democratic system. So now that I understood the headline, the title, we can go on because what I learned was simple. AI can assist in simulating diverse opinions, potentially helping policymakers to understand public consensus. And I said, this is interesting. Why would I make an AI study about helping policymakers understand public consensus? And there was also the future application could include here negotiation assistance and policy simulation models. So I thought this is interesting. Now Google DeepMind is here somehow in the business of simulation model of policies, of outcome, of voting structures, how you can simulate here different trends and influence factors. And so this is interesting that we can use AI models, an AI agent here, to simulate here and represent human values and human ideas in human conversations. Now. And of course, there was the potential risk that AI is being used here to misrepresent real human intentions if it not carefully designed or even manipulate here something on the social media platforms, which of course we know is never happening again. What are the limitations? These payoff models, they use as a proxy, but the true test of the representativity would require a human evaluation of those AI-generated critique. Plus, they study only here fine-tuned LLMs for the critique process in itself. I think we have to look here at the complete AI-mediated conversation and everything. Plus, there are some bias, I assume, from the training data. Because I think all the human that started here the discussion, they were a beautiful mix of whatever constellation that we have on people on this planet. But maybe there were some political bias, or maybe there were some social biases that we have now in our model. So we should take care that this is not happening in our models. No? And then at the end, I had a short chat here with my friend, ChatGPT, and I said, hey, what are the limits if we give really the representational power of me as a person, as a human individual, if I would give my rights, let's say, to vote to an AI? What do you think about this? And ChatGPT came back and had some own conclusion by this AI, that AI can simulate collective decision-making and assist in the democratic processes, but it should not replace the human voting. And democracy is based on individual agency and accountability, which AI cannot fully replicate. Public trust in AI is currently insufficient here for a governance-level decision-making. Replacing voting with AI increases the risk of political manipulation. I was shocked about this. And democracy thrives on active participation by humans and not by passive AI-driven representations. So interesting to see that this AI system here, by OpenAI, if you don't know it, is really rather, it's either in a careful way, in a very, well, we have to look at both sides. It is great if we could build those AI agents, but are we really aware what we are giving away as humans to those AI agents? So it's an interesting study, so I thought I have to show you this. An AI might soon represent you. This means it will not replace you maybe in your workplace, in your professional career, but if an AI starts to represent you by and through your individual human rights to vote, to discuss, to voice your opinion, to whatever, I think now it becomes really interesting at first how we program those AI and what would be the effect if we would allow those AI systems really to take over our human individual rights. If you have maybe, I don't know, theoretically some opinion to this topic, hey, the comments are open for you. And if you're interested, I have the next video already prepared. Yes, it was a long ride back home. Why not subscribe? I might surprise you with my next video.